Okay, let's start the module. Okay, the question comes in here. How can you use Word to format your document? We have different kind of a document that we produce usually. There is a way of formatting it through the font. There's a font styles. There is a list. And in the formatting, what happens, you can change the margin, add a color and styles, and create a list, make your documents more interesting and easy to read. So you can make that document very easy to read, where you want to focus, what's important in the document, all these things, so the reader will understand where you are, what you're trying to do. Now, so in this presentation, what we're gonna do, try to answer the following questions. The questions are, what is a memo and how it's used? How can I begin formatting a memo? How can changing font enhance a memo? What are a list and outlines? And what vocabulary word I should review? So we have something called memorandum or memos, gets published within the company and has a certain, characteristics. Memo is a short document that is used to communicate quickly between members of a team in an organization. Memo can be sent through the emails, or memo can be printed and give it to people. Now, memo may share information, make a request, or suggest a change. So in a memo or memorandum, a memo has a special formatting that makes it easier to read. We try to not to mix between memos, emails, research, papers, all these things. Each one has a separate way of doing it. And actually in the memo, the headings identify the recipients and subject and other information. So who's the recipient, subject, other information, and yeah. So you see here, what you see is we're trying to identify to whom, the subject, the date, and who's the recipient or to whom. Now, a body of a memo contain information. That's where you put your information here. And then the end, you put your initial. So you see in the end, the closing can contain writer's initials and encloser's information, because you might be having it, putting it on the top from so-and-so, and you initial it in the end. Now let's do some academic skills check. Why do we do a memos and how it's supposed to be done? How can a member of a team use a memo to communicate with each other? Answer. Members of a team can use a memo to share information, make a request, or suggest a change. Second, what are the three main parts of memo? As we said, the heading that contains the memo guide words, a body that contains the information being shared, a closing that contain the writer initial and enclosures information. So that's a memorandum or a memo. To begin formatting your memo, we need to set that margin in the tabs, the margins at the side. I mean, if you use the old typewriters, you probably, it's taken from there, the margin, and the tab stops. So a margin measures the distance from the edge of the page, from the page to the edge. That's the margin. Where is the text? So here's also the other side. It's measure the margin. And the tabs is the space between when you click tab, how much you needed to jump in, this side or that side. Now, so in general, we try to use the top 2 inch, and on the side probably 1 and 1 for a memo. In a memo, if the memo is very short, you might also reset it to the left as a 125 if it's short, you know, so it will make it 125 so it looks bigger for you writing it. But you do that through using the page stop within the, when you open the Word file, you open it and you go to the page stop and you do this from, I think, page layout. So page layout, page stop, and you do this. The top, how much you want, the left, how much you want, and you can set it up as a default for that document. Now, to change the margin of a memo, use a page stop dialog. You can, the page stop dialog usually, you go and then you see it in the next page. So this is the page stop dialog showing you exactly, or you can do through the page layout or through this and that one. So it shows you where the stops is gonna happen. So a tab stop is a marker on the horizontal ruler that shows where the insertion point will jump to when you pass a tab. When you click a tab, you want to know how far you want it. There's a standard one, but we can change it also. To change that, you only need to click on this and it opens a dialog box for you. We'll see it later on. So use the tab stops to help you format the heading of the memo and the bottoms of the memo correctly, the heading memo correctly, like this part of it. See this part of it? You need to really, if you want to fix it up on a one side, or you want to have changing one this side, the other side, that's okay. You can do it by clicking on that and you can fix it up. And this is where is tab stops here. So if you click tab, it goes up to here, and that's the end of the tab stop. So you can use it. The next will go the next page. Can you see that to the left? But I said, once you click on the tab, it will show you all the dialog box where you can do the left, how much, to right if you want to. You can clear it all, you can set it and do the setting to try to work it out. Now to reset the tab stop of a memo, use the tabs dialog. So you can set it, as I said, or clear it all. Let's do a tech check now. How do you change a margin of a memo? We said to change a margin of a memo, use a page setup dialog. What is a tab stop? A tab stop is a marker on the horizontals to the left to right, rulers that you see on the top shows where the insertion point will jump to your press when you're pressing tab key. Now we go to the font. Now to format, we can always, we know how to use the font. So you can download it and drop down menus and select the font you want and the font style and the size of it. So changing the font style to make the text clearer and easier to read and to enhance your memo. So you want to make sure the organization that you are dealing with, whether you're within your organization or you want to send it to others, try to use the same font that they are using because they are getting used to that setup of mentality that these kind of font is for that company. So try to use their font when you are communicating with them, or if you're in an organization, try to use the same font. You don't have to, but it's good to set up mentally your memo. So there is what you call a character. Characters is like a J, 12, C at, or question, and then you have the example of font, Arial, Calibers, Cambria. There's tons of them. And then the font size, it shows you there. So a character is an individual letter, number, or symbol, or punctuation. A font is the unique design of set of characters that automatically or default font in the word, like caliber. And font size refers to how large or small character are. Font size is measured in a point. Now, the font style refers to effects such as you want to do it bold, italic, or underline, and apply these effects to words or phrases that to add emphasis on it. You do that in doing messaging or WhatsApp when you're angry. You use all capital letters, for example, or you want to emphasize on something, you all use a capital letters. Example of font is bold, italic, and underline. Now, so if you notice here, to modify a memo's font style and size, open the font and check the dialog boxes. To make a text and out enhance a memo or make it better, apply a special formatting to a characters if you want to. Things that you can do: shadow, bold, strikes. You can do the effect here. You notice here this strike through, or do a shadow or something. So you can enhance or all caps by clicking on that and you're entering. It shows you down there. So let's do some tech check. How can you make a text stand out in the memo? Answer. To make a text stand in a memo, apply a special characters effect or apply font such as bold, italic, and underline, which is we saw it just now and tried it. Tech check 2. How do you modify a memo font style and size? Answer. Use the font dialog box to modify a memo font, a style, and a size. Now, we look at the list of and outlines are an effective way to organize an info mentioned in a memo. Now we finish on the top and things how it looks like in general. Now we go to the body of the information. How are we going to make it more effective? What kind of things that we want to do? Are we going to tell them a few points together, or are we going to, sequence these points? That makes a little bit different between that. So you notice here, if we go back, you notice here, you can, by clicking down this, you can have different styles of, points, how it's going to be, and you can select this and enter this. Anyway, so this is the box that you can have notes there notifying it. So a number list is a list item that appears in the particular sequence. Each item is preceded by a number or a letter. But on the other hand, a number list indicates that items in a list should be viewed or performed in a particular order. So if you put this or this or this, that's supposed to be in particular order is done. But there is another way to say everything is important and no particular order is when you do these things, check or dot or all these things. And it's a bullets or symbols, shapes or image such as dot, diamonds, and arrows. Now, also you can distinguish between one set of bullets and one set of bullets by some of them give you, for example, different symbols like the shapes, and one is dot and one is diamond also can make it different, but don't overload it that. In a bulleted list, each item begin with a bullet to call attention to it. Use a bulleted list if it does not matter in which order the item in the list are displayed. Now, an outline numbered list looks just like an outline that might create on a papers to take notes or a study for. So that's the outline number. You can subdivide the list into a maximum of 9. List, second list, inside a third list, something like that also. So you can say A at the A stage, there's a 1, 2, 3 can be done. As a B stage, there's a 1, 2, 3. Or a stage 1, there's A, B, C. Stage 2, A, B, C, D, F, something like that, up to 9. Now, if you notice here, when you put the sequence, the character list outline, click the multi-level buttons in the paragraph, for example, to group the home together. So you can do that once. And even here, you can, once you enter, you can enter second one and becomes like an A, B, C. So on the point A1, A, B, C, and the point B, something like that. Home tabs. Now let's do academic check. When should you use a numbered list? Use a numbered list when you want to indicate that items in a list should be performed or reviewed in a particular order. Now let's do academic list. When should I use a bulleted list? I use a bulleted list when it does not matter in which order the items in the list are displayed. Let's do some vocabulary review very quick, just a recap. Memo. A document that shares information quickly between members of a team. Margin, the amount of the space between the text and the edge of the page. Tab stop, a setting that determines where the insertion point will stop when you press the tab key. Character, an individual letters, numbers, symbol, or punctuation mark. Font, a unique design of a set of characters. Font size, not font size, font size. The measurement of a character in a point. Font style, an effect that can be applied to the font, such as bold, italic, or underline. Vocabulary review. Numbered list. A list of items that must appear in a particular sequence. Each item is preceded by a number or a letter. What's a bulleted list? A list of items preceded by a special symbol, such as dot, diamond, or an arrow. What's a bullet? Not shooting bullet. A symbol, shape, or an image such as dot, diamond, or arrow. And this is end of. Thank you.